Hey everyone, I'm Erin with Five Parks Yoga. Thank you so much for joining me for class today. Today's class is designed specifically for swimmers, and I would like to give a quick shout out to the Colorado Mesa University women's and men's swim and dive team. So this class is going to be really focused on your body during a taper time so that you can lengthen your muscles and help them recover and get ready for big competitions that are coming up. I have a couple of props that I'm using. I'm going to tell you about them, but you do not need them to practice this. So if you have tight hips or need something to sit on, I have a yoga block, but you can use a book or anything that you have available to sit on. If your hips are feeling tight, I have a yoga strap, so you could use a belt or anything that you have available to you that is long, so this will help you stretch your hamstrings. So this class is mostly going to be seated, and these postures were all requested by collegiate swimmers, so I hope you enjoy them. They are going to focus on hips, shoulders, and some core, but again, mostly deep stretching. So today, let's start in a seated position. So you can either come onto a block if your hips are tight, or you can just come into a cross-legged seated position. So I'm going to remove my block, going to cross my legs, and this is my dog Rendo. You can say hello. So to begin with, we're going to take a couple of side stretches, which are going to move into shoulder stretches. So close your eyes and let's take 3 deep breaths just to kind of get into our space, and then we'll start with our stretches. So close your eyes, take a deep breath in through your nose. Let it go through your mouth. And just 2 more, just like that. So breathe in through your nose. Out through your mouth. And in your final breath in this seated position, breathe in through your nose, hold it at the top, and then breathe out through your nose. You can open your eyes. Let's take a neck stretch here. So bring your left ear to your left shoulder. Bring your left hand to the top of your head. Just draw your ear a little bit closer to your shoulder. Come back to center and switch sides. So bring your right ear to your right shoulder. Bring your right hand to the top of your head and just draw your ear a little bit closer to your shoulder. Drawing your left shoulder down away from your ear so you feel this nice stretch along the side of your neck. Come back to center, and then just take your chin just slightly forward and then down toward your chest so you feel a nice stretch along the back of your neck, your upper shoulders. And then come all the way back up. Now you're going to take your hands, bring them both out in front of you, your arms straight and long, interlace your fingers, and then flip your palms so they're facing out. Bring them up overhead. So you feel a good stretch in your shoulders. And then release your hands, sweep them behind your back, interlace your fingers again behind your back, and then press your fists down. Maybe lift your chin, open your chest, and then bend forward from your hips, bringing your forehead down toward your mat or the floor. Now in this position, no matter where your arms are at, if your shoulders are really tight and they're still down by your hips, that's totally fine. Just see if you can start to press the palms of your hands toward one another, just increasing the stretch, increasing the strength in your hands and your wrists. and then make your way all the way back up and come into a tabletop position, and we're going to warm up the front and the back of the body. So position, spread your fingers nice and wide, position your wrists underneath your shoulders, your hips underneath your knees. As you breathe in, just drop your belly down, lift your tailbone, lift the crown of your head, open your chest, drop your belly, arch your spine, and then breathe out and then round your spine. Look towards your belly, lift and separate your shoulder blades, and then let's do that 2 more times. So breathe in, drop your belly, lift up, arch your spine, breathe out, round your spine. See if you can work with your breath. So breathe in, drop your belly, big breath, long inhale, and then exhale, round your spine. Lift and separate your shoulder blades. Come back to a tabletop position. And then bring your left hand a little bit more directly under your face and lift your right arm up. Look up, reach up. And then you're going to slide your arm behind your right hand and come onto the outer edge of your shoulder and your knee, but keep your hips high. So you have a twist in your spine, and then feel that nice stretch in the back of your shoulder, and rest your ear on your mat or the floor so you have no tension in your neck. And then unwind as you breathe in, lift your arm up, look up, and release back down to your mat, and then switch sides. So lift your left arm up, maybe look up toward the ceiling, reach and stretch, and then you're going to slide your left arm behind your right. Come onto the outer edge of your left shoulder, and then rest your left ear down on the floor. So no tension in your neck, but keep your hips high. Come all the way back up, unwind, lift up, look up, reach up, and then come back to a tabletop position. And from here, we're going to take extended child's pose. So this is going to be our first stretch for our hips. So bring your knees wide. So just press your hips back toward your heels, rest your forehead down toward your mat. If it doesn't reach your mat or the floor, that's fine. We're just working in that direction. Feel the stretch in your hips and your low back. All right, so this is going to be a bonus shoulder stretch in your hip stretch. So what you're going to do is keep your elbows on the floor. You can peek up at the screen if you need to. Connect the palms of your hands, and then bring your thumbs to the back of your head. Sink a little bit deeper into your shoulders. Again, continue to press your hips toward your heels. So feel the stretch in your hips, your hip flexors, your low back, your triceps, and your shoulders. It's a great stretch overall. We're not going to hold this pose for very long in this class, but this is a great one to continue to practice because you're getting so many body parts stretched right here, right now in this posture. One more breath here. All right, release your arms out long. So bring your hands back to the floor, palms back to the floor, arms back to shoulder distance apart, hips are still at your heels, and then come back to a tabletop position. All right, so the next posture we're going to do is a good stretch for your inner hamstring. Or your inner thigh, excuse me. So what you're going to do is bring your left leg straight to the left. You can position your toes in front of your heel, or you can point it out to the side and tuck your right toes under. Bring your hips back toward your heel, just like we did in extended child's pose. And then walk your hands forward, place your forehead down on your mat. So you should feel a stretch in the bottom of your foot and your toes and of course your left inner thigh and your shoulders. Come all the way back up and let's switch sides. So bring your right foot straight off to the right, position your toes right in front of your heels, tuck your left toes under, bring your hip to your heel, walk your hands forward, bring your forehead down towards your mat. Feel a stretch in your toes, the arch, the bottom of your foot, your shin, and of course your right inner thigh. All right, come back to tabletop position. Like I said, most of these postures are going to be seated, but we are going to do one downward facing dog because this is a great stretch for your spine and your hamstrings. So tuck all 10 toes under, lift your hips up, release your heels down toward your mat. It's okay if they're not touching. Spread your fingers nice and wide. Really press your fingertips into your mat. Look back toward your feet. So if you can, try to just wobble out your head. So shake it left and right, make it in circles in one direction and in the other direction. Maybe nod it yes and no. These are all gentle movements just to make sure that your neck has no tension. Feel the stretch in the backs of your legs. You can have your legs as bent as you need them to be. And then from here, look at your hands. Walk your feet toward the front of your mat, toward your hands. Bend your legs a lot. And then just rest your torso on the tops of your legs and take opposite hand to opposite elbow and dangle here. So this is all good lengthening for the back of your body, from your tailbone all the way to the crown of your head. You can start to gently sway side to side. Just releasing tension here. And just sway side to side one more time, or you can just hold it steady if that feels good. Come back to center if you're not there already. Release your hands down towards your mat or your blocks or your shins, and then come up to a halfway lift. So imagine yourself from the side, so you're making a 90-degree angle. So you want to begin to straighten your leg, and it's okay if they're not straight already, but extend the crown of your head forward, draw your shoulders away from your ears, and just feel that nice stretch in the backs of your legs. Take one more breath in, and then as you exhale, come back into a standing forward fold. So this is a stretch for your hamstrings, the backs of your legs. So just moving in the direction of straighter legs. And again, it's okay if they're not straight yet. It's going to be good for when you're on the blocks and reaching your hands down and having that flexibility in the backs of your legs. And then from here, you're just going to come down into a posture called ball of yarn. So you can take your feet, heel toe them a little bit closer together. So they're not hip distance apart. And then you're just going to come down into a little ball. And then maybe play with your balance a little bit, maybe lifting one hand or both hands up off the floor, maybe wrapping your arms around your knees, giving yourself a nice little hug, holding opposite hand to opposite elbow, squeezing your knees together, keeping your heels lifted. And then from here, just come down into a seated position and keep your feet at hip distance apart. And you're just going to slowly roll down onto your back. Again, with your feet flat to the floor, your knees facing up. Draw your heels a little bit closer in toward your hips. Arms are resting alongside your body, palms are facing down. We're gonna stretch out the hip flexors and the front of the body with some bridge poses. So plant your hands on the floor and start to roll up one vertebra at a time up into bridge pose. Lift your hips high and then roll down, and we're gonna do that 2 more times. So roll up as you breathe in and roll down. One more time, roll up. So really stretching your quadriceps, your hip flexors, the front of your body, and then roll down. Okay, so we're gonna do some reclined hip stretches before we come back up to seated. So keep your right leg right where it is, extend your left leg long on your mat, hug your right knee into your chest, take your hands, interlace them around your right knee. Now, bring your knee to the right and then up toward your right shoulder. So you're going around your rib cage. Draw your elbows in and down, so you use your bicep strength, and then flex all 10 toes back toward both knees. So your feet are active, your shins are active, your arms are working, and then feel the compression in your right hip flexor. Relax the grip on your right knee, draw it across your body so you're in a twist. In this twisting position, you can extend your right arm to the right. You can take it to like a goalpost position with your palm face up, or you can take it to a capital T position with your palm face down on the floor. It's really good for your low back. And if you're breathing deep into your belly, this is good for your internal organs and your breath work. Really breathing deep into the belly. Okay, now come back to center. We're gonna take a hamstring stretch. Like I mentioned at the beginning of the class, if you have a strap or a belt or something that you wanna put around your foot, you can peek up at the screen so you can see what I'm doing. You can place it around the bottom of your foot to help support you in extending your leg. If you don't have a strap, don't worry about it. You can hold on to the back of your thigh, your calf, or maybe you can reach toward your toes. If that's not accessible to you, no big deal. We're just working in that direction. Can you keep your hips and your shoulders flat on the floor as you stretch the back of your right leg? And then if you want an inner thigh stretch to add to this position, you can stay here, or you can open your leg to the side. So that's just if that feels good on your inner thigh. You can extend your left arm in the opposite direction to kind of counterbalance your leg. And again, if you're holding onto your strap, that's great as well. Or if your leg is bent, that's totally fine. Come back to center and we're gonna take those stretches on the other side. So go ahead and extend your right leg long, flat on your mat. Draw your left knee into your chest. Hold on to your knee with both hands. Bring your knee off to the left around your ribs and up toward your left shoulder. Now draw your elbows in and down. So you're activating your biceps. So you're using your arms to increase this stretch, and then flex your feet back so your feet are active. You can feel your shins working. Feel the compression in your left hip flexor. Can you continue to breathe deeply in and out through your belly? So deep, deep breathing. Okay, let's take that hip stretch now, or I'm sorry, that hamstring stretch now. So again, if you have a strap, you can peek And see what I'm doing here? You can take your strap, place it underneath the bottom of your foot, and begin to straighten your leg. And you can have it as straight or as bent as you want. Hold on to your strap wherever it is. If you don't have a strap, don't worry about it. You can hold on to the back of your hamstring, your calf, or maybe you can reach toward your toe or your foot. Most importantly, wherever you are is fine. Just feel the stretch in your calf and your hamstring all the way down to your hip. Try to keep your hips flat on the floor, your shoulders flat on the floor. If you want the inner thigh stretch, it's just an option. See if you can open your left leg to the left. But try to keep your right hip grounded on the floor so you're not rolling to the side. That's not the idea. You just want to find a stretch in your inner thigh. And you can counterbalance the leg with your right arm coming straight out to a capital T position or maybe a goalpost position. All right, if you're open, come back to center, hug both knees into your chest. And in this compression, what you want to do is take your toes, heels, and knees side by side. So instead of just crossing your ankles and squeezing your legs in, try to keep them in line with one another. And then you can take opposite hand toward opposite elbow or opposite hand toward opposite knee, or wrist, or you can just hold on to your knees. So wherever you are at is fine. I just want you to feel a compression in both hips. All right, from here, relax the grip on your knees. Let's take 3 rolls along the length of our spine until we're in a seated position. So just roll back and forth, 2 and 3. All right, we're gonna take some shoulder stretches here and a couple more hip stretches. So we're gonna take a posture called cow face pose, which I know is kind of a funny name. So again, if you wanna sit on a block, if that's more accessible, that's fine. I'm just gonna guide you through the posture and you take it to the level that feels comfortable for you. So we're gonna start with our left shin on the floor. You're gonna take your right leg up and over, and you're working in the direction of stacking your knees. If they're not stacked, don't worry about it. So you can have your ankle resting on your knee if that is more accessible. Again, if you have a strap, this would be a great place for a strap if your shoulders are tight, but I'm gonna show you from behind. What you're gonna do is you're gonna take your right hand up and over. Here's option number 1. Take your left hand on your right elbow. You're just gonna keep your neck nice and long, head upright, and just gently press your elbow down. If you have a strap or a belt or something like that, you can take that behind you and hold on to your strap or your belt. Last option is to clasp your hands behind your back, maybe reach for your fingertips, as long as you're keeping an upright spine. So if you have the clasp and you're all bent forward like this, kind of defeats the purpose of the pose. So I hope you feel a stretch in your tricep on your right arm. And as always, bonus, you're getting a stretch in your hips as well. So these poses really get into lots of parts of the body. Okay, release. I'm gonna turn around. We're gonna switch sides. So now you're gonna take your right shin on bottom and you're gonna bring your left leg up and over, working in the direction of stacking your knees, but keeping your sitting bones grounded. You can sit on a block if that works for you. If it doesn't, no problem. You can always have your ankle resting on your knee. You just want to feel a stretch in your hips. I'm going to turn around once again so you can see. You're going to bring your left arm up and over. Okay, option number 1,
Take hold of your left elbow with your right hand, and you'll just draw your left fingertips down the back of your upper back. Great stretch here. Feel it in your tricep. If you have a belt or a strap, you can hold on to your strap like so. You can walk your hands up your strap as you gain a little bit more flexibility. And then last but not least, you can clasp your hands behind your back, reaching for your fingertips, getting a nice grip there, as long as you can stay nice and upright. Okay, so no collapsing. You want a nice, long, straight spine. And release. All right, a couple more shoulder stretches here. Go ahead and extend your arms straight out to the side. I think I've done this in another yoga video, but this is great for shoulder mobility. So place your palms forward with your thumbs face up, pinkies face down, and then start to rotate your arms so your thumbs face down and your pinkies face up. And then come all the way back. Maybe your pinkies even start to face up toward the ceiling, depending on your shoulder mobility, and then just go back and forth. So we're just gonna do that for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Come back to center. Reach your arms straight up overhead, make fists. And you're gonna start to straighten your hands. So palms will face open, fingers are really active, arms are straight, and you're gonna open and close for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring your arms out in front. Let's do this stretch again. Interlace your fingers, press your arms forward. Bring your arms back off to the side. We're gonna take a side bend, so bring your left hand down toward the floor, reach your right arm up and across. Try to keep your shoulder in line with your hip. Again, no collapsing. The goal is not to reach the floor, it's to find extension in the side of your body. Keep your core engaged, so you're nice and active here. Come back to center, and then switch sides. And then come back to center. And then we're gonna take a posture for the hips called Cradle the Baby. Kind of a funny name, but we're gonna start with your left leg. So you're gonna lift your left leg off of your mat. So you have 3 options here. So you can cradle your leg in the crooks of your arms, like so, palms facing up toward you, fingers spread wide. You can take your foot in your hand and your knee in your other hand. Just draw your leg in. And then last option is to wrap your arms around your leg. This is, again, it's just gonna depend on your hip mobility and how you're feeling in your glutes. So if you're holding onto your leg in any way, go ahead and just find a little movement here. So this is mobility for the hip. You should feel it in your low back too. You can even lift your foot up a little bit and just play around with it and just notice how your body is feeling today. All of these stretches can be held for a lot longer and a lot more often. Just so good for your body. All right, let's switch sides. Cradle the baby on the other side. So you're gonna lift your right leg up. Again, option number 1, hold your leg in the crook of your arms, palms face in, fingers are active, drawing your foot in. You can hold your knee with one hand and your foot with your other hand. Maybe your foot's all the way out here. That's totally fine. You're just working in the direction of drawing it in, creating more space here. And then last option is to wrap your arms around your knee and your foot and clasp your hands, and then find a little movement here. Maybe up and down, maybe back and forth. Cradle the baby. Okay. And highly requested is seated pigeon. There's so many variations of pigeon, but we're gonna do seated pigeon. So what you're gonna do is take both feet flat to the floor. This is a very accessible pose. You can do this on the pool deck if you want. You're just gonna take your left leg, cross your ankle over your right knee, and hold here. So take your hands right behind your hips, and then you can start to draw your right foot a little bit closer in. Press your chest a little bit further forward. Most importantly in this posture though, try to keep your toes in line with your heels. So your foot isn't just hanging out here, your knee's not just hanging out. You have a lot of integrity in the posture, shoulders down, chest lifted, foot active, and your knee is pressing forward. Seated pigeon pose. You can do reclined pigeon pose. You can do standing pigeon pose. Lots of pigeon options, but this is very accessible. Just getting ready to swim, getting prepared. All right, switch sides. So place your left foot on the floor and cross your left ankle, your right ankle, I'm mirroring you, over your left knee. So your ankle's not directly on your knee, it's a little bit past. Flex your foot. Hands stay where they are, fingers are pointing toward the front of your mat. Draw your heel a little bit closer in. Now lift your chest and lower your shoulders and lift your chin. Feel that nice stretch in your hip. All right, seated pigeon pose. Okay, we've got to take some quadricep stretches. So we're going to come back onto our shins. I'm going to give you 3 options here. So you can start here. First is rock pose. Bring your knees and your feet together. Sit back on your heels. This might feel tight. This might feel like a stretch for your quadriceps, and that's great. You can hold here. This is called rock pose. Okay. Next option, take it a little bit deeper. You can take a block or a book or whatever you have, separate your feet, sit on your block. Okay, so that's second option. And you might work toward these options if you practice these poses more and more often. You might start to gain a little more flexibility. So now we're moving, you're getting a stretch in your ankles, shins, knees, quads. Now we're moving into the hip flexors. If you want to take it a little bit deeper, you remove your block and just sit your hips between your heels. Sit upright, shoulders right over your hips, crown of your head lifting toward the ceiling. Okay, and then if your knees and quads and hips are feeling super open and you want even more, you can start to walk your hands back behind you, come down onto your forearms maybe. Maybe drop your head back. Gently, don't throw it back. And then last option is to lay all the way down onto your back. Actually, last option is then to take opposite hand to opposite elbow up above the top of your head. Full expression of hero pose. Keep breathing. One more breath here. All right, if you are reclined, go ahead and make your way all the way back up. And then come onto your hands and knees just for a release of this posture. It's a simple, simple release. So what you're gonna do is just extend your right foot back behind you, tuck your toes, rock back and forth. Get all that blood flowing back into your joints. This is really, really healthy for your joints. You're kind of constricting that blood flow, and then all that fresh oxygenated blood comes back into your joints. Very healing. Okay, switch sides. Extend your left leg out behind you, tuck your toes, rock back and forth. Cross over your ankles. Let's take a nice deep hamstring stretch. This would be, so extend your legs straight forward out in front of you. Toes are facing up toward the ceiling. Knees facing up toward the ceiling. Quads, the tops of your legs active. Maybe so active that your heels lift off of your mat or the floor. This is called Dandasana or staff pose. You can take your hands behind your back, sit up nice and straight. Are your quads active? Are your heels lifting? All right, now you can relax your heels down toward the floor, and we're gonna take a forward fold. Again, if you have a strap or a belt, you can take them around your feet like so, and then start to hinge forward. If you don't worry about it. Just start to walk your hands forward, maybe reaching towards your feet. Maybe not. Just try to hinge from your hips so you feel a stretch in your low back and your hamstring. Strings both legs. Take one more breath here. So to develop hamstring strength or hamstring flexibility, it takes time. So again, I'm moving through these postures at a pretty quick pace so that you're familiar with them, but practice them. Maybe when you're watching a show at night or something, try to sit in a seated forward fold or try to sit in some of these postures. You will eventually gain flexibility if you hold them for a little bit longer. All right, release from your stretch. We're gonna take two seated twists and then we'll close our class. So take your left leg up and over your right. This is called half Lord of the Fishes pose. It's a seated twist. It's really good for your core. So you're gonna take your right arm, lift it straight up overhead, and you're gonna hook your elbow to the outside of your knee. You're gonna take your left hand out behind you, but you're gonna sit up straight. So like I mentioned earlier in some of the other postures, don't collapse to get deeper. Stay straight up and just go as far as you can to keep the integrity of your spine. You can look out over your shoulder. Breathe deeply. Release from your twist and let's switch sides. So extend your left leg out in front of you. You're gonna bring your right leg up and over, stamp your foot to the floor. Your right hand's gonna come out behind your hip. Lift your left arm up, reach up high, and then get a nice hook of your elbow to the outside of your knee. Your palm is gonna face out. Your hand is active, so it's not just hanging out, you're not collapsing. So stay upright, integrity in your spine and in your posture. Look out over your shoulder. And then take a deep breath into your belly. So let your belly expand as you inhale. And exhale. All right, unwind from your twist. All right, the last posture we're gonna do is going to be a combo. The final posture in all yoga classes is Shavasana, which is a reclined, relaxing posture. But if you want to take a supported fish posture and you have like a pillow or a rolled up blanket in your room or wherever you are, this is just the best stretch for your chest and your shoulders, and it's passive. There's no work. So I'm gonna show it to you from the back. If you don't have a bolster or a rolled up blanket, don't worry, you're just gonna lie down on your back. So you're just gonna take your blanket or your bolster or your pillow and just place it right at the base of your spine. And then you're gonna lay back. And then you're gonna extend your legs long. And then you're gonna rest your arms in a very wide but relaxed and loose position. So this is a very passive but amazing stretch for your chest and your shoulders. For all of you swimmers, this should feel wonderful. Now, again, no worries if you don't have a bolster or a blanket. So you can lay back on your pillow. If you feel like your head is draping back and that feels uncomfortable, get an extra prop for your pillow so you don't feel any dizziness. But most importantly, you're propped up so that your shoulders are falling open and your arms are falling open. And we're gonna move, I'm gonna switch directions again, but hold that position. And we're gonna move from supported fish into Shavasana. So if you're already in Shavasana, that's great. You can just hold there. Just resting flat on the ground with your arms spread open. This is a great chest and shoulder opener. You can hold your supported fish, or you can move your bolster or blanket out from underneath you and lay flat on your back. And for Shavasana, you're just gonna let your legs be wide and your feet fall open, and your arms are gonna rest alongside your body with your palms face up and your fingers relaxed. Close your eyes. Relax your jaw and relax your forehead. See if you can come into just a few moments of complete stillness, relaxation, and restoration. No work, no effort. Let's close our breathing with one cleansing breath. So breathe in through your nose and hold it at the top. Let it go through your mouth. Come back to the natural rhythm of your breath, nice and steady and slow. The breath that you would have if you were about ready to fall asleep. So you're not focusing on your breath, you're just relaxed, restoring your body after all of those stretches, letting everything integrate. And just notice your body working from your toes all the way up to the crown of your head. So just paying attention to any places that might be holding on to tension, and you can maybe wiggle them or shake them out and adjust your body so that you're in a place of complete comfort. just begin to bring gentle movements back into your body. You can just wiggle out your toes, wiggle out your fingers. Start to take some little rolls of your ankles, some rolls of your wrists. And then take a full body stretch. So bring your feet together, bring your arms up overhead, point your toes, reach your arms, take a deep breath in. And then roll onto your side as you exhale, cradling your head in your arms. So we're just gonna come up nice and slow. So just pause here. And then when you're ready, just press into your hands. Come all the way up to a seated position. You can cross your legs once again, just the way we started. Bring your hands to your hearts. Thank you so much for joining me for class today. Good luck at your meets, and I wish you well. Thank you so much again. Today, as you go forward, may you have peace in your thoughts and your words and your heart. From my heart to yours, namaste.